My partner catfished my friend/our old roommate. I'm devastated and lost. My partner and I have been together for 5 years. We have 2 kids, a 2-year-old and my 9-year-old from a previous, abusive, relationship. He/was super dad to both. He was also, I felt until recently, a kind, stand-up man, and the best partner I could have ever hoped for. Especially when I wasn't even looking for a relationship at the time we met. He pursued me and made me change my mind. The last 3 years have not been easy though, and mental health became a huge problem. Everything compounded into a toxic mess this past year. He's ADHD, but he also has PTSD, which was unchecked and became so severe. He became aggressive, irrational, prone to intense fits of paranoia and rage. His physical health deteriorated. It was so bad, I had to force him to get help and/or leave. He was scary. I thought that would be rock bottom enough for him to finally get the help he desperately needed. 3 months ago I let him back in. Things seemed to be going better. He said he was getting help, making his appointments, doing well in school. Our relationship was improving, he was improving. Until one week he seemed off. I could tell something was wrong. He was clearly fighting an episode, but he wouldn't talk to me. Stonewalled. For the first time ever, I looked through his phone while he was sleeping. Wanted to check his email for what was bothering him. I was concerned what he was hiding would affect us all financially, as it has many times before, and I needed to know so as to fix whatever I could. I wish I hadn't. I very quickly noticed a bunch of FetLife email DM notifications from a few different profiles. I immediately felt sick. Went and checked his browser history and found that for 8 weeks he'd been chatting up very local women. 100% graphically engaging and texting with them. But the name and profile I saw pop up most often was one of my best friends. And our roommate the first almost 2 years of our relationship. The same one we both considered a close friend, someone who loves our kids and has watched them on weekends away. I was livid and so hurt. I confronted him, but he swore she had no idea it was him. That he never actually met any of these women, that it was all a fantasy, that something about looking at women in the area got him off, but he'd never act on it. But basically one giant ball of crying, I don't know why I did it, I'm sorry, from him. He deleted all the messages and profile. He deleted them before I could see them. The comments I saw were bad enough. I needed to see those messages. I needed to know if it had gotten physical. If he'd physically cheated. If my friend knew. Now I will never know. Which makes me wonder how bad it actually was, that he'd risk the fallout from deleting than risk me seeing the actual DMS. You don't go looking for in at local women if the endgame isn't to F***K1 eventually. You don't hide behind fake profiles and hide them from your so. Especially when our intimate life was damaged because of his actions. TMI, but I am into all the kinks he was seeking out from these other women. Me. But he never did them with me. I am even okay with ENM, but he wasn't, so I respected that. It's a knife in the back, the worst betrayal I've ever faced with so many sickening layers. I'm even ashamed to admit that maybe if it hadn't been the friend part, I might have stayed that much longer, but it's the nail in the coffin. I'm so sick. It hits me randomly each day, I want to vomit. How could he do this, let alone to someone else he claimed to care about? It's such a disturbing thing to do. He violated her. It's not true consent. If she really didn't know, then it's that much more sickening. 8 weeks that I know of. This would not have stopped if I hadn't found it, that much is clear. Divorce is a given. I told him he needs to get a plan and get the hell out. It's fine, I finally have some self-respect because it's clear he doesn't for me. Me and my girls deserve better. Only, he's still here. Is apparently making plans, but nothing feels concrete and I'm afraid to ask. I'm just trying to survive the holidays. Get out of this with the least damage to my kids. He still hasn't told my friend. Like he's supposed to. Now I feel like I need to. I hate him for that, but she deserves to know, doesn't she? I hate that I have to tell her. He obviously won't. I see now he's incapable of taking responsibility for his actions. Mentally ill or not, he's crossed damn near every line possible. All trust is gone. He clearly didn't care how this would affect us. My close relationship with their family. How am I supposed to sit across her at Thanksgiving? I can't stop panicking, my heart is just shattered. My poor friend. My poor kids. I thought I did right this time. Instead I get to devastate my firstborn a second time, and my baby too. I feel so sick. I don't even know what I'm asking. I just am hoping for any clarity in this storm. Comment. I'm sorry I couldn't keep reading. After he deleted all the accounts and DMs, I didn't see a reason to continue. This guy has more red flags than a Spanish bullfight. The texting other women behind your back would be enough for me to kick his ass to the curb, but the fact he's also catfishing your close friend is just sickening. Even if it's not true, the fact that he's willing to admit to doing something so repulsive is enough. Then you tack on all the other previous problems, making your home a toxic and unsafe environment. 3 months of working on himself doesn't inspire a lot of confidence that you are safe if he has another outburst. It would be bad enough if it was just you, but there are 2 young children involved. I am also ADHD and suffer from PTSD, so I can empathize with the hardships he's struggling with. But these hardships are an obstacle to overcome, not an excuse for terrible behavior. It does not give him a pass to treat you like crap. I can't think of any reason you could have that would make staying with him worth all this awfulness. Story 2. I received an ultimatum from my friend/coworker because I slept through a phone call, worried the relationship has become obsessive. I'm looking for some advice on how to handle a situation with a friend/coworker. I am a 23-year-old female working my first full-time job. I became friends with my 52-year-old male coworker about a year ago. At the time we started talking to each other, I was going through a difficult breakup. Even though we work in the same building, our jobs have virtually no overlap, so this relationship exists more as a friendship than something actually work-related. I have a difficult relationship with my parents, so I never told them very much about the breakup or how severely it was affecting me. However, my coworker wanted to help me through this difficult time in my life, and we started having conversations that emulated a mentor/mentee relationship. It was the kind of advice that you would get from your parents/aunt/uncle, just wisdom from an older person that had been married for a while and had learned a thing or two about life along the way. I appreciated it, and it actually helped me tremendously. He is married with 3 children. We started having frequent walks during work hours, which is an area where I felt uncomfortable, but ultimately, it is my fault for enabling this. Over the past year, he has initiated walks nearly every day, and we will talk for 2 to 3 hours at a time. This has made me uncomfortable just because other coworkers have noticed my afternoon absences, and then I am forced to stay later in the day to make up the time. Ultimately, no one has said anything truly negative because my work always gets done, but these kinds of absences are noticeable. I have noticed that he gets irritable when I say that I am too busy to walk, so I found myself doing this even when it ultimately adds a lot of stress to my life. He seemed to take it personally when I couldn't spend this time with him. In addition to the time spent at work, there have been so many phone calls and other interactions outside of work. He doesn't call me every night, but he does call me most nights even if we talked for 2 to 3 hours at work. He texts me every morning and every night at least. He wants to spend weekends with me. Last weekend, he took me to 2 restaurants on Friday. On Saturday, he took me to lunch and came back to my place to watch TV. On Sunday, we just texted back and forth. He attends church with his family on Sundays. It's such an extreme amount of time. I have really been wondering what his wife thinks of the whole thing, just because I would be concerned if my husband were spending this kind of time with a 23-year-old. I don't even know if she knows, but I think she has to, since these phone calls happen when he is home with the rest of his family present. We ran into a conflict on Monday. We spent 3 hours talking in person after work. Then, as soon as I got home, he called me, and we talked for another 30 minutes. As soon as I got into bed, he called me again. And I didn't pick up. I put my phone face down on my nightstand and went to sleep. I was irritated with the idea that 3.5 hours of my time wasn't enough for him, and I went to sleep. I usually am very responsive and always pick up, so I guess he found this to be alarming. I woke up to text messages asking, "Where did you go? Where are you? Did I offend you? Why are you ignoring me?" And maybe this wasn't my classiest moment, but I just didn't respond to these. These messages were more irritating to me than the late-night call itself. We did talk a little bit at work on Tuesday, in which the text messages were not acknowledged. Tuesday evening, he called me 3 times and said he is concerned, worried, and this is out of character, and I am not myself, just because I didn't pick up a phone call and respond to the subsequent weird text messages. On Wednesday, he showed up at my cubicle in an effort to talk to me, but I told him I really had to work, which was true. I have really stopped talking to him. This ended up in him sending me an ultimatum at 4:17 a.m. on Friday. He sent me an email stating that I have not been chatty enough. I am ignoring him. He has been nothing but a friend to me. My text messages were innocent. I have never turned you away. I have always been respectful. If you do not reply to me by the end of today, we will move forward as strangers. I chose to not respond, which, in my mind, was a form of response, by his own definition. Saturday morning, he asked me if I received his email, which made me laugh. I don't know how serious he actually is about enforcing his ultimatum. Is this even normal? Is it normal for 52-year-old men to want to talk to a 23-year-old woman this much and to take it this personally when I don't pick up a phone call? I am conflicted, because this is a person who helped me during a tremendously difficult time in my life. He is making the argument that I owe him a response and explanation, but I ultimately find the whole thing to be self-evident. If he wants to know why I'm not responding, he should read his own unhinged ultimatum email. He is accusing me of ghosting him, and he might be right, but I'm really just afraid that this is getting into a stalker-ish territory, and I don't think further communication is actually going to help. I think he wants to negotiate, and he has extreme demands for the friendship. I cannot keep up with this relationship. I'm sincerely concerned that this is obsessive. In addition to everything that I described above, the conversations we have been having have gotten progressively more invasive and personal. Recently, he has asked me what kind of men I like and if I enjoyed intimate with my ex-boyfriend. He wants to know everything about my life. Constant "what are you up to?" texts. He wants to know everything about my day, every day. What did I eat for lunch? What did I eat for dinner? What did I watch on TV? What have I talked to my sister about lately? How did grocery shopping go? He is also trying to convert me to Christianity because you would be such a good Christian, and can't you see that this is the only religion that makes sense? He knows that I didn't grow up religious, and he has been sending me scripture that he thinks is relevant to my life. I have sensed that he is frustrated that we have been talking for a year, and I am still not a believer. Further, he definitely seems to think that I am his adopted daughter or something. He asked me, if you found a guy that you really liked, would you introduce him to me? Would you let me look him in the eye and shake his hand? A father figure presence can go a long way in setting a guy straight. But, at the same time, I've been wondering if this is an emotional affair since he seems to tell me things that he doesn't mention to his wife. When something interesting happens to him, I think I am the first person he tells. With that being said, I have no idea what he thinks this relationship is. He has a daughter very close in age to me that he does not seem to spend nearly as much time with. I feel seriously horrible right now. I think he is being very effective in convincing me that I owe him something, so this is weighing on me. I never want to ghost anyone, as someone who has been on the other end of it, but my gut is telling me that this is not a normal situation, and I need to not give him any more room to demand more from me. I don't know if that's the right call, though. I just want it to stop. It has become such a suffocating relationship. I am wondering if I need to tell my manager/HR what has been going on, even though a lot of it has been outside of work. Comment. I didn't read the whole thing, or even half. There's a lot going on here. But let's start from the end. Is this normal? No, it's not. Can a 50-year-old mentor a 20-year-old? Yes. But that is strictly business. Maybe a quick lunch or coffee to update them, but it should always be above board. Look, I'm in my 60s and my team leader invited me out to lunch a while back, and they discussed it in a team meeting. In other words, nothing secretive about it. This is messy and you need advice that's above Reddit pay grade in my opinion, both from a work/legal perspective and from a personal perspective. I would advise you to talk to both a lawyer and a counselor. Do you have that kind of assistance in your health insurance plan? The company is incentivized to avoid a lawsuit. Your coworker is harassing you. He's interfering with your work. Just ask them if they'll deal with him or if you should get a lawyer involved. He may be a senior employee, but he is not irreplaceable. Keep copies of everything this guy has sent you. You are no longer his mentee. I doubt you ever were in his mind. You are his obsession. Cut him off completely. No calls, no texts, no walks. Strictly business. Take all those texts, emails, messages, and go to HR. Nope, not normal. Not at all. I don't know if your boss would be helpful or not, but since coworker actually interferes with you being able to get your job done during your work hours, I think it's at least a conversation. Maybe a "hey, I need advice and I need to let you know about this."